For the first time since the Taliban's return to power in 2021, a senior Taliban minister will be landing in New Delhi. Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi, once under global sanctions, now has a special UNSC travel exemption valid between the 9th of October and 16th of October. The clearance wasn't routine. Muttaqi remains on the UN sanctions list, banned from travel, asset use and arms. But the coming week, the Security Council Committee with Pakistan as its chair gave the nod. It's a rare consensus and a significant signal. The visit, on paper, is about humanitarian and developmental assistance. But in reality, it's about strategy, security, and shifting sands of geopolitics. Since 2021, India has supplied over 50,000 tons of wheat, 330 tons of medicines and vaccines, keeping a lifeline open for millions of Afghans. This is no ordinary visit. It comes days after the Moscow format talks, where Afghanistan for the first time will attend as a full member alongside India, Russia, China, Iran and Pakistan. And after Moscow, Muttaqi's next stop is New Delhi. So what does India want? And what does the Taliban hope to get? At stake is the next chapter of South Asia's most complex relationship. Delhi doesn't officially recognize the Taliban government. But beneath the public silence, quiet diplomacy has been in motion. And the first signs emerged in Dubai last year when Indian Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri met Muttaqi. And just 2 years before that, India reopened its technical team in Kabul in 2022. And the upcoming visit is the most visible outcome of this back-channel engagement. For India, this is about more than goodwill. It's about security and strategic depth. After the Pahalgam terror attack in April that killed 26 tourists, Delhi's message is clear: no more terror launchpad. No more sanctuary for Pakistan-based groups like the Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed on Afghan soil. India will seek assurances from Muttaqi that Afghan soil won't be used for terror attacks against India. And also seek that the Taliban will act against globally designated terrorists, including Masood Azhar and Hafiz Saeed. It's a conversation India could only once have about the Taliban. But now tables have turned. It's happening with the Taliban. But there's another angle, and that is geopolitical competition. Russia recognized the Taliban government in July. China's mining and infrastructure footprints in Afghanistan are expanding rapidly. And Pakistan, which once called Kabul its strategic backyard, is increasingly being sidelined. India doesn't want to be left behind.
There is an old Indian saying that he who would be emperor of Hindustan must first control Kabul. Now, the reason for this statement is that all the invasions of India took place from Afghanistan. The last, of course, was the British who came by the sea. So therefore, Kabul and Afghanistan became very important, have been always very important for India. And this continues even now. Now, today, it's not a question of controlling Kabul, but it's a question of ensuring that the open spaces in Kabul, in Afghanistan, are not used for fostering terrorism against India. And therefore, good relations with Afghanistan are strategically very important for India to make sure that no hostile action comes from Afghanistan's side.
India's approach today is far from the 1990s when New Delhi shut its doors after the Taliban takeover. Now it's a pragmatic engagement balancing moral concerns with security realities. The Taliban too comes to India with expectations. They want Delhi's recognition of its government, investments, and continuity of aid. They've seen India's role in rebuilding their parliament, the Friendship Dam, and schools. Taliban knows India builds where others bomb. For Afghanistan, crippled by isolation and sanctions, India offers not just diplomacy but delivery. Humanitarian aid, medicines, food supplies, scholarships, and potential investment in energy and connectivity.
Afghanistan has numerous natural resources which India can harness, but even if we harness it, we face a problem of how do we extricate it, because Pakistan is not going to allow its movement and Iran is under sanctions. So we have a problem in our hand unless, of course, we can start accessing them through Xinjiang, Uyghur Autonomous Region of China. That's the only way we can harness them. On the other hand, as far as Afghanistan is concerned, it has a lot to gain from India. Even Afghan armed forces training, which we were doing earlier, we can provide Afghanistan's government officials who are being trained in India. So as far as Afghanistan is concerned, India has a lot to offer. We can actually provide them medical facilities, we can provide them educational facilities. There is numerous things which we can provide.
The discussion is expected to focus on trade, connectivity, and regional integration, with emphasis on using Iran's Chabahar port to give landlocked Afghanistan sea access that bypasses Pakistan. A move that would weaken Islamabad's chokehold on Afghan trade routes. But for New Delhi, this visit also serves another purpose, countering the China-Pakistan axis. While Beijing eyes Afghan minerals and Pakistan dreams of strategic depth, India's message is simple: engagement, not endorsement.
The basic thing about international relations is that everybody follows their own national interests. And there are always ups and downs. You can't say your relations were bad with Bangladesh or your relations are bad with China. Look, there's been an uptick as far as relations with China are concerned. Now, with Afghanistan, we have our own bilateral issues. I think one of the things that will be discussed is the port of Chabahar. Recently, as you know, the US has sort of reimposed the sanctions or lifted the waiver that India had for developing Chabahar port. So how that will impact our trade with Afghanistan and some of the issues that will have to be discussed.
Meanwhile, the global powers are watching. Washington still has eyes on airbase access in Central Asia. Beijing is tightening its Belt and Road hold. And Russia is busy building its new Eurasian club. In this power play, India's calibrated entry could be the most decisive.
United Nations, we recently saw a meeting of Russia, China, Pakistan and Iran to discuss Afghanistan. So that shows that the four countries are thinking and India has been an outsider. But now that Afghanistan is coming to India, it's important because at this point of time, Afghanistan is in the news because the United States wants the Bagram Air Base, which Afghanistan is refusing. China is trying to extricate a lot of minerals from Afghanistan. At this point of time, India and China relations are also improving. So that's also a positive. But at the same time, Pakistan is actually cozying up to US, with which is hoping to get more investments. It's actually looking for another port in Arabian Sea, for which it's looking at funding from United States. Bangladesh is, of course, going through a turbulence, so it doesn't really make a difference. And Bangladesh really has no relevance vis-a-vis Afghanistan as far as India is concerned.
But the road ahead is tricky. Engagement with the Taliban risks normalizing a regime still accused of human rights violations, suppression of women, and targeting minorities. India will have to balance realpolitik with moral standing, a difficult but necessary tightrope. For now, the message from Delhi is measured but clear. India will engage where it must and lead from where it can. Because ignoring Kabul is no longer an option. As Afghanistan's top diplomat lands in the national capital, it's not recognition that's on the table, it's relevance, security, and influence. From the ruins of the past wars to the corridors of cautious diplomacy, New Delhi is looking forward to a new diplomatic chapter with Taliban.